This ain't you, but I just don't know now. You used to love me, good daddy. You used to love me, good daddy.
Hey everybody, I am your girl Candy, and this month is Pride Month. And of course, the world is crazy as it is. We're not able to party like we used to, so we're doing something virtual online. And I am about to go beyond the ball. And this week, I have the beautiful Hailie Sahar. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Oh, also, I saw you earlier this year. Was it this year? At the Essence Women in Hollywood dinner? Yes. And you were honored with your other castmates. And I didn't get a chance to talk because everybody kind of like swarmed y'all after you were getting your award. I want to say congratulations to you for that.
Thank you, Candy. Thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Here we go. Let me give everybody a little bit of your background. For those of you who don't know, Hailie is an actress, writer, director, and artist who plays Lulu Ferocity on Pose, which I love.
It feels empowering.
We've been doing this for years, baby.
And Hailie also appeared in Playboy earlier this year. In the article, she describes herself as a woman who happens to have trans experiences and expressed her hope for society to bridge the gap between transgender and cisgender women. Hailie started her own house of Rodale, at age 18, and later moved to the House of Allure. Here's our first question.
Okay.
What does being a sex siren mean to you?
I love this question, and I'm going to tell you why. I think, especially nowadays, I think people mix sexy with vulgarity. I think a person that's organically sexy is sexy whether you're wearing clothes from head to toe or not. Sexy is an aura. Sexy is a demeanor. Sexy is a poise that you carry about yourself. Sex siren should ooze out of you without you having to shed your clothes. Now, there's nothing wrong with shedding your clothes. We like that visually too. But a sexy person just is sexy. So I think, that's the best way to describe it.
No, I agree with you on that because a lot of people feel like they got to do the most just to be sexy.
Right.
It's just like it's some people that, they can come in a room, they can have a full pantsuit on and they still looking sexy. It's like something about them. They just be like, oh, like they're all eyes. It's just, it's their essence just catches everybody's attention. Okay, so Hailie, how did you feel when you got the call to do Playboy magazine?
Oh my gosh, I was super excited. So I've always wanted to work with Playboy. I think that the company itself holds such integrity. It's such a classic company. And just to be seen and to be recognized just as a woman of color, for one, and then a woman who happens to be of trans experience, for them to see me and see me as sexy and want to showcase that, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to let the world connect the dots for a lot of things that they don't understand about someone like myself. So I was super happy. I was giddy like a little kid, and I still can't believe that I was in Playboy. It's amazing, but it felt really good.
Well, you looked good.
Well,
Good. Put the T at the end. You look damn good. It's just really, it's kind of like an honor. I know some people be like, oh my God, to take you, to do something but it still is classy. You know what I'm saying? To be
classy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an honor really to be chosen to be in Playboy, because it's not like every woman can say they've had that opportunity to even be asked to be in the magazine. Okay. Now this is a more serious question. In light of Nina Pop's recent murder, how can allies help protect trans women of color?
I think speaking out more about it. I think people in privilege speaking out more openly and showing up as supporters and letting people know that this has to stop. It is us that needs to do the work to stop these things from happening from all sides of the world, from people of color, from people of trans experience. We have one life to live, and no one has the right to murder anyone. No one has the right to lose their life over senseless nonsense. So I think we need to use more platforms like this one that you're doing to shed light and just to stop it. Aren't we tired of this? Like, aren't we tired of the deaths? Aren't we tired of the confusion and the chaos and just the darkness in this world? This is a short time that we're here on this earth. and everyone has a moment where they're not going to be here. So in that time, we need to love each other. We need to embrace each other, no matter what your background is. That's someone's child. Everyone on this planet is someone's child, sister, or brother. So no one has the right to harm anyone.
Right, of course. And I feel like I think the world seeing shows like Pose and Pose really breaking down like some of the history, especially because of the time that the show is set in, breaking down some of the history of how the world has treated or reacted to trans women, you know, at that time of a young age. And I think it really helps people who watch the show understand and want to do better, you know, but I think people are still learning to do better.
And it's one of those things where even, and I do understand that people are learning the terminologies and just the history of people of trans experience or LGBTQ related situations, but to treat someone with kindness is not something we should have to learn. That's something that was taught when we were a kid. Don't hit that person, don't hurt that person. So I think we need to be accountable for knowing the basics of that, just being a decent human being, no matter what the background, even if you don't understand, respect people.
Right.
It's simple.
Well, can't say it no better than that.
You can't say it any better than that. It's so simple.
No better than that. You broke it all the way down. It's real simple, real easy. How has playing Lulu changed your life?
Oh, gosh. So playing Lulu has, okay, so I'll tell you personally and also tell you just on the scale of having a platform now. So obviously having a platform and being a part of Hollywood now, it's given me a more of a voice to have. So even right now, I'm doing this interview, we're talking and we're getting to know each other, but this is also a way for people to understand. And that platform of Playing Lulu has given me that opportunity. On a personal level, it's opened me up a lot. I'm a Cancer, so sometimes a little shy. I'm a little, withdrawn, and it's really brought me out of my personality a little bit more, playing such a dynamic person who is fearless and courageous and bold. It's caused me to kind of dig into myself and be that in my real life.
Were you acting before? I mean, you more than likely were, but before Pose, what were you doing in your career?
So I was acting before, but I hadn't booked anything that was on this scale. So I wasn't a series regular, let me say that. I was working on Transparent, also on Mr. Robot, and I did a movie, Leave It on the Floor, as well. So I was acting. I started off as a professional dancer. That was my career from grade school on up into high school, and that was my profession. But I was acting before, but just being on this scale and being a series regular has opened up so many doors. So that's the difference. Now,
had you ever been on the ballroom scene before you started being on television and stuff?
Yes. So I found the ballroom scene when I was about 15 or so. And I should have still been in school, but 15,
you was already in the club?
Listen, I have a story to tell. Trust me, I'm writing that book. I was out. I was 15. I found the ball at that age. And then I joined the ballroom scene around 16 years old. And so, I was walking. I'm from the LA chapter. And I eventually became the mother of the House of Rodeo. The father at the time was my personal father. And he asked me to be the mother. And usually the mother is the one who's the wisest or has her head on straight or wins a lot of the trophies. So that was kind of what happened. And I agreed to do it. Of course, no one really listened to me because I was younger than everyone else. They were like, I'm not listening to you. Go sit down somewhere, little girl. So, but I joined the ballroom scene at that age. And that's where
what age you became the mother?
So I became the mother around 18.
18? Oh, you really was early. You were in your time.
Well, I mean, the personal father, who's his name is Trey Rodeo, he asked me to be the mother, and he was my personal father, so I agreed to do it. And I don't know, I think it was just because of the way I carried myself. People have always called me like an old soul, so I think it was a little bit of that, and I agreed to do it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did the best I could, but people didn't really listen to me.
Oh. So here's my other question. So you said, from your background, I read that you went from that house to the House of Allure. How did you make that transition from houses?
So I had been in Rodeo for a few years, and I just actually stopped walking balls and was more focused on my career. And then I got approached by an allure, and I said, why not? So I joined that house. And it was just kind of like an easy transition on over. But I had been with Rodeo for quite a while. I really haven't walked as an allure officially, but yeah.
No, I was just wondering because, like I said, it's like a lot of people are still learning about the ballroom scene and how houses work, and so I was just kind of hoping that you can kind of explain to us a little bit more about the dynamic of the houses. How do you pick a house? How did you, you know what I'm saying? Like how you be in the house?
So typically, well, I can just speak from my experience. So for me, two of my friends were already in Rodeo, and I went to a party where I met Father Trey Rodeo, and he's like, "You are so pretty." He was like, "I want you to be in my house." And so at this point, I didn't really know too much about what a house was. And so I went to a meeting, and the house members liked me. I walked a ball, and I won my first ball. And so houses usually are picked from people that you are friends with, or maybe you like the way that they have their swag or whatever, and you want to kind of like be a part of that. It's like a club almost, but it's a family. And so that's my experience and how I joined the House of Rodeo.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's dope. I mean, in that aspect, I'm like, I've been to a couple of balls myself, but I still, I'm still learning myself, still trying to find out, okay, so how does this person get to walk this category? How does that person get to do that or whatever? So what was your main category?
So my main category at the time when I was walking balls was realness. So the correct definition of realness is being able to blend into the cisgender world. Almost like if I had not told you that I was a woman of trans experience, you wouldn't be able to tell that I was a woman of trans experience. So you walk against other people to see who's more real, to see who's more passable. That was my category. I also walked face, and I also walked sex siren.
How has your spirituality helped your own identity?
So I've always known who I was. It was the rest of the world that had to catch up to me. You have one life to live. If you feel something in your heart, as long as you're not harming anyone, I would say live your best life while you have the chance to.
My spirituality, so I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm a preacher's kid. And I grew up Southern Baptist. Finding God for myself and understanding that we all, meaning like everyone on this planet, is an extension of God because we're created in God's image. Finding that for myself, not because someone told me, and understanding what that means for myself helped me to have tenacity in my journey, helped me to understand my calling and understand that I'm here to distribute love, because see, God's love is so ginormous that it extends in so many forms from different types of people, not just one. And I think especially in the church realm, we're taught one specific type of person is acceptable to God, but we're all God's children. So me understanding that for myself and embodying that and saying, I'm going to live my truth. I'm also going to be as much of a positive voice as I can for the community and for the entire world. That was how my spirituality kind of helped me, and it's still helping me navigate through the world now.
Okay, so I have to ask this question. I mean, it's going to help a lot of young people. My question is, with your parents, were they, when you decided to live your truth, and what age did you share that with your parents?
So I was a teenager when I started my medical and social transition, and I told my mother first. My mother has always been a very supportive parent. I know I'm very fortunate to have her. She did a lot of research. She took the time to try to understand me, and it wasn't hard for her to understand me. My mom has always built a very close relationship with me since I was little, me and my brothers. I have 5 brothers. And so we've always felt comfortable to talk to mommy about anything. I would say my father's side, the preacher side and all that, had a more difficult time of understanding me. But I think through time, them seeing my journey, them seeing my accomplishments, people have started to just show more respect and say, I get it now. I understand you've always been a girl and you've always been who you are. You've always been a sweet person. And even some members in my family have apologized for not being around for many, many years. But my mother has always been my saving grace and my beacon of light and hope. My mother has never turned her back on me, ever.
That's awesome.
Or my brother.
That's awesome. So do you feel like being on the show Pose has even helped your people of your family or friends of your family, help them even understand a little bit more of, you know, what you were going through when you were younger?
Definitely. I think that anytime you see or you have a window or a seat to see someone that you don't understand, I think it definitely helps to understand. And I think that Pose itself has given that window to people. I think a lot of times the depiction of people of trans experience more specifically has been shows like Jerry Springer or things that were very derogatory. I would equate this the same thing to blackface or to seeing Black and brown people depicted as thugs and just horrible depictions of people until you actually see other people who are accomplished producers and presidents and people in real life. Then you're like, okay, they're not that way, which is ridiculous that we have to do that. But I think Pose has definitely shown more of the truth. I'm just a person. I'm just a girl with dreams like any other person. And I think Pose is doing a great job of showing that.
Yeah, it is awesome. Okay, so here's my other question. So what is like next for you? Like, I mean, I know you're still, you know, on the cast, so you're still a part of the show, but like, what are your next goals? Because I mean, I know you sing, I know you know, can dance and you can perform. So are there other goals that you already have on the horizon? Like, what's next?
So my music is next. Outside of the music, I have been doing a lot of writing. So I used to produce plays. I started doing that when I was about 14. And I would cast inner city kids to be a part of the plays. And I did that for about maybe 3 years. My grandfather allowed me to do that within our church. And so I've been doing a lot more writing. I'm working on my book right now. So yeah, that's kind of what's next for me right now.
I cannot wait to read the book. Okay, so if just right off the top of your head, out of your own experiences, if you had to talk to a young person, let's say somebody that was 15, who grew up knowing that they was a person with trans experience and wanted, you know, to become their best self or whatever, what would you give them as advice?
I would say, and I wish someone told this to me, I would say that I'm not a person that's going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is not an easy road when you are being authentic in a world that wants you to fit into a box, no matter what your background is, even if you're not a person with trans experience. So I would first tell you to have confidence within yourself, to have self-love, to search that love within yourself, because a lot of times you're going to have to rely on yourself to be strong. Another thing I would say is to, especially now, you can reach out to the LGBTQ Center. You can reach out to a lot of leaders that come from that center, or if you know someone personally, people from the cast of Pose, I would say reach out to a mentor, someone that you can bond with and build a relationship with, and then kind of like help you on your ropes. It's not an easy journey. I'm not going to say it's been easy, but I do think it's been a little bit easier now with the help that we have now. And it's only the beginning. That's the first thing I would say.
Right. So you do feel that now a little bit easier than it was when you were 15 years old?
When we say a little bit, I'm going to emphasize a little bit because there's still so much work that needs to be done. But I'm going to say there are more avenues now, but nowhere near as many as they need to be. Not at all.
Okay, this will be. And this is just my question. Like, okay, so I was just talking to my friends that you saw earlier. Okay. I was just telling them, like, I don't care what part of your life. It doesn't matter, gender, race, sexuality, whatever it is. If anybody or your friend or associate of yours is different from you in whatever those categories may be, they may have not been educated, they may not know the right things to say, they may be have done things that are offensive or whatever, but I feel like it is your job as their friend or as their associate to educate them and help them know, okay, honey, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. No, that's offensive, or just pull their coattail, right? Because we're in a world right now where constantly putting their foot in their mouths or whatever, right? And so with that being said, I appreciate you coming on to this platform with me to kind of like help, educate people, like, because it's like people really do need to like sit down and ask questions so that they know, you know what I'm saying? Like, know better, you know better, you do better, basically. But I just want you to have an awesome month, an awesome year.
Yes.
Have like all this stuff coming up. I mean, similar. I'm sure. Like, I know for myself, I had like all this stuff planned to do this year, but all of a sudden, they put a whole monkey wrench in my plate.
Definitely.
So, tell me this: did you have some big thing that you were planning to put together, but got put on hold because of what we're in right now with the world?
You know what? Yes, I did. I'm not gonna say what that is because I still am doing it, but just in a different way. But you know what? I'm the kind of person, and this goes back to the question you asked me earlier about like the advice I would give somebody. I'm a person that has grown to flip everything and make it into a positive because a lot of times in my life that's what I've had to do. So I see this as not so much of a pause, but more as a rescheduling. And now it's causing me to be more strategic, to be a little sharper, and to be more creative. So of course, it's a very critical situation that we're all in globally, but I'm choosing to look at the brighter side. And even us doing this sit down right now, would this have happened had the COVID-19 happened? And this is shedding light and helping people. So I'm choosing to find the positivity in everything. And I think that that's helped me get through a lot too. But yes, I did have something that I was planning to do.
I knew you, girl, because I had like a whole I thought it was
you did right.
like, now.
Listen, my birthday is in July. I had a whole thing I was doing on a yacht. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, I was like, what is happening? Here's another question. I mean, and if it's inappropriate or whatever, please tell me. Okay, so this is my question. I think back when I was younger, because I'm not young. Okay, honey, I'm 40.
Your experience.
Oh my God, I just turned 44. I still thought I was 43.
Oh my gosh, the 17th, right? That's your birthday?
You said what? May 17th?
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Okay, so what I was about to say was a lot of trans women or women of trans experience when I was younger didn't always feel comfortable because obviously people were even more ignorant back then to women of trans experience. So a lot of times they did not openly talk about their experience or openly share their experience. So do you think at what age did you feel comfortable saying, yes, I'm a woman of trans experience?
You know what, to be honest with you, so prior to doing Pose, I was in a play with Bernie and Telsey called Charm. That was the first time that I was starting to be more visible as far as like just media was concerned. And I had to sit down with myself because I was living self for a long time. I was not open about being a woman of trans experience. I started doing beauty pageants. That's kind of where it started. But I realized that I wasn't doing any due diligence, being silent about that. I could have lived my life just blending in and not saying anything, but I'm not helping anyone in that way. Just like me being a woman of color, I'm also a multiracial woman. And so if I don't speak up on Black and brown issues because I quote unquote pass for something, which is very ignorant, then I'm not doing due diligence in that area either. So it was about me understanding that I want to leave behind something bigger than myself. And I want to do something that is going to be monumental, not just self-serving. So it was just a few years ago that I decided to be open, more boisterous, and do my best to utilize my platform for good. So it hasn't been that long for me.
And when you decided to be open, did you know any people who were not supportive, or was everybody supportive? I
think that I had already come to terms with certain people that were not in my corner. So the people that I was dealing with were all people that did support me. So I had a very strong support system. Of course, that took many years, but everyone that was around me was supportive of me, and I didn't allow anything negative to come into my space.
Well, I just want to say one more time, thanks again for sharing your experience, because You know what? You are like paving the way. I mean, being in Playboy magazine, being on television in Pose, writing the stuff that I see, I'm already speaking it into for you for these new projects that you have that are going to be extremely successful in music, in television, film, and every area aspect in your life. I appreciate you, and I thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you, Candy, for having this platform and for utilizing it for good and all the things that you've done throughout all these years. Your body of work speaks for itself, and I've always thought you were a beautiful woman inside and out. So thank you for the sit down and for making this platform happen.
Well, thank you, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up on some music or something later.
Yes, ma'am. Let's do that.
All right. Well, I'll see you. Have a good one.
This ain't you, but I just don't know now.
You used to love me good daddy. You used to love me good daddy.